Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino back and Guido Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today we are playing Final Fantasy IV, but not the one you want. We are covering Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. Is it Intergrade? What's the middle one called?
Interlude.
Interlude. That's it. Final Fantasy IV Interlude and The After Years. Joining me as always to discuss Final Fantasy and rankings, Chris ZombiePie Redacted. How you doing, ZP?
Gino, why was I accused of racial intolerance when I laughed at the word Lake Titicaca?
I wish I could tell you.
I mean, if they don't want me to laugh, why would they call it that?
I'm sorry that they made fun of you when you laughed at Lake Boob Shit. The other person who's always joining us on these shows, Jeff Rude, the responsible one.
Hi, apropos of nothing, pretty soon I'm going to be facilitating a workshop on the monk and the elephant. Are you too familiar with the monk and the elephant?
No, tell me about it.
So, it comes out of the Buddhist tradition. It's the idea there were three blind monks, and they each came upon an elephant, and they felt different parts of it, and one of them was a positive that an elephant was kind of a flat, veiny surface, and the other one thought, no, it's kind of a hollow, long, wiggly tube, and the other one thought, no, it's very scaly and bony and enormous. I can barely wrap my arms around it. And all of them were correct, because all of them only knew a piece. They only knew what their own experience told them. I bring this up for no reason. Anyway, Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. I promise this will make sense, folks.
Oh, yeah, it will very quickly. Before we discuss Final Fantasy IV: The After Years and Interlude, just our plugs. First plug we're doing now.
Oh, shit.
What?
I have to pregame this. Keep going, please.
Okay. Our first plug. You can get in touch with the show, Deep Listens Podcast, at gmail.com. That's our email address. deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections there. Deep Listens Podcast.bluesky.social. That's our social media account. And then you can support the show on patreon.com/Deep Listens. At the $1 tier, you get access to the Discord. At the $3 tier, you get access to the OG Soncast, our anime podcast, which is covering Samurai Champloo. We are also doing a call to action currently for raising money for the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. You can donate to them at ilcm.org/donate. If you think what's going on in Minnesota is no bueno, there's a place you can direct some money and some time and some attention. They're doing good stuff representing folks who are in need of lawyers, immigration lawyers specifically. So go ahead. Again, the URL is ilcm.org/donate. Jeff, you have people over in Minnesota. That is a organization they directed you to as well, correct?
Yeah, I actually just got off the horn with them before this podcast, and I asked my cousin, "Hey, where should people be?" Said we apparently have like a pretty big audience in South Africa. Where should we direct all these South African reals, dollars? I forget the unit. And that was the first place she dropped. Was honest to God, the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. So it's a good place. That is from someone on the ground. That is not an expert outsider opinion. That is from someone holding an MSW license to practice and is currently out doing marches in the streets in Minneapolis. Says send it there. So send it there.
Yep. And now from that very serious call to action that we did to whatever the hell ZP is going to afflict us with.
So I said this before we started recording this podcast that distressingly I cannot seem to find the expiration date of this thing that I bought.
That's always good.
Now I bought it on discount and it's Christmas themed. So
okay, first question I need to ask ZP: can it expire?
Yeah, I can.
Oh no.
Okay.
It comes from it's a heritage thing for your peoples, Gino.
I
It's
love
imported
this
from Italy.
so much. This is so
This
good.
this is an Italian import, you say?
Yeah, but it's generic brands. It's Christmas themed Italian soda.
Oh.
canned
is-
Italian soda.
No, it's in a glass bottle. It comes from the Safeway. It is limited edition cranberry orange ginger.
What is the brand?
It is Signature Select, which is the generic Safeway brand.
Oh yeah, that's the Safeway brand. Okay.
I'm gonna read the ingredients now. God damn it!
Yeah.
It says distributed by Better Living Brands LLC, Pleasanton, California. So I don't know. Maybe they got the syrup from Italy. The ingredients are. God damn it! Why is it?
Maybe they got the idea from Italy.
Okay, so it is carbonated water, cane sugar, cranberry juice from concentrate, black carrot juice for color, citric acid, apple juice from concentrate, orange juice from concentrate, ginger juice from concentrate, and natural flavors. Now, I am a little concerned. I don't know if this is just the ginger. Upon opening this, it has a very medicinal and dirt smell, which is why I was kind of looking for this expiration date. Jesus Christ. It is neon red.
Great. Signature Select. So, Jeff, do you have in Canada store brands other than Trader Joe's?
We don't do Trader Joe's up here. We've got the President's Choice. We have Western Family, which I would not recommend buying those products, considering the owner of that chain of grocery stores that has come to my attention recently owns a warehouse in America that is going to be converted into an ice facility in the very near future. So maybe don't shop at Quality Foods if you're on the West Coast. But yeah, there's store brands up here.
Okay, I'm gonna drink this.
Okay, drink the thing.
You know what this is? I need Gino to plug his ears. I don't like how Italian soda is carbonated, or the lack of carbonation. I prefer American soda carbonation levels.
I'm sure he's deeply
that very flat level of carbonation, almost like 3 steps below your standard mineral water, has never been my thing.
Yeah, I could tell that probably really hurt him.
It hurt me deeply to hear that you do not like Italian levels of carbonation.
I can taste the cranberry. I can definitely that medicinal flavor is definitely the ginger.
So is it good?
I don't get the hints of the orange at all. I would not recommend this. It's very, very medicinal with its it's
flavoring.
Very medicinal with the ginger. The ginger ends up being the strongest part of the aftertaste, which I'm not a huge fan of. So I think there's only one way I'm going to fight this, and that is put in a shot of gin. Okay.
That's one way to do it, I guess.
I'm going to do a shot of gin into this. Let's do a little bit more than a shot. We played the after years. I put a picture of the gin I'm using. High quality Santa Cruz artisanal gin from the state of California. Salud, gents. We still are not done playing this game.
Just a question. Oh wait, does that mean you're gonna drink more stuff?
What? Yeah, I'm gonna drink it with gin.
Okay. So what was its ranking without gin? A 2?
Like 3, 2.5 actually.
Okay,
yeah, you're right.
3.
2.5.
Okay.
Too medicinal. Yeah, it didn't make it better. That might be a plus down. That might actually have made it worse. But at least my face feels tingly.
Okay. Just a quick question. Can you hear my dog is having little puppy dreams? Can you hear him barking to himself?
No, put the mic on.
Which one? Which one is having puppy dreams?
The only one.
The big one. The big one's having little puppy dreams. He's stopped barking right now, but he might do it again. So I just wanted to make sure.
That's a sound that I don't think we stopped the podcast for.
Yeah, you're just.
I don't think so. He's twitching. His little paws are twitching. He's dreaming.
Okay.
Speaking of things that aren't a dream,
Did you have an adult drink as well, Jeff?
I'm drinking a beer. Yeah, I'll describe
Okay.
it briefly. I guess it's a combo. Ace Brewing down in Courtney partnered with a local coffee roaster to make the Worlds Collide coffee mild. So it's a coffee stout. It's pretty good. 4 out of 5. Moving on.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Speaking of things that aren't a dream, Jeff, you played Final Fantasy IV Interlude for
Well,
this.
not
I-
just
I-
me.
I did as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Both of you
did.
did.
Mhm.
Could you describe it for us?
No. Okay, I'll try. It was okay. So, as alluded to, the muck and the elephant. This is a product. The product being Final Fantasy IV's like latter years iterations that's had a few different SKUs and releases. And when this finally came out on the PlayStation in a, I would say it's probably like the authoritative version of like kind of all these games, I'd argue. That was a bundle that included Final Fantasy IV, a version of Final Fantasy IV, and a version of Final Fantasy IV The After Years, and a third executable, if you will, set between those called Final Fantasy IV Interlude. Now, that product, Final Fantasy IV Interlude, is locked in this PlayStation Portable version. There's a version of The After Years that you can buy on Steam. There
Mhm.
was a version that you could buy on WiiWare. There was a previous version that was available on a SKU of Japanese mobile phone. I forget which. And none of these areas, platforms, whatever storefronts wound up with this interlude product. But it is
Nope.
available on the PSP, and you can, if you wanted to, buy Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection. I think that's what it's packaged as, on a PlayStation Vita or maybe a PS3 for I think $20 to this day, which means you could, strictly speaking, still get a copy of Final Fantasy IV Interlude if you wanted. We're going to tell you why you don't, but you could. Like it's a legal move.
It's a legal move. You could buy it.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, this is of an era, Jeff, that the micro connective tissue game was actually kind of all the rage. I think the best example would be Dead Rising Case Zero, where a developer would have like some sort of interconnective membrane, and it's a micro game. Sometimes they were sold independently from the package, and sometimes they were thrown into the package to, add extra value to it. With the Square is not beyond this.
No.
In fact, we have reviewed examples of these sorts of micro connective tissue games, in particular, Last Mission, Final Fantasy X, a weird, bespoke, goddamn mystery dungeon game starring the characters and cast of Final Fantasy X-2, doing mystery dungeon shit, ostensibly after the events of X-2. They've done this before. And these games are usually, they exist solely in one thing. The other big example is that weird beat 'em up game of Final Fantasy 15 that we played, the name of which is escaped me.
It's, oh god. King, is it just called Kingsglaive? No. That's
No,
the film.
That's the movie.
That's the bad movie.
It's called
I've got
Oh,
I've got our
Jesus.
ranking list. 1 second, I'll find
Look
it.
at the bottom,
should've-
Gino. But
I need to go from the bottom.
all of this is to say that Square...
A King's
when-
Tale.
Yeah, there
King's
you
Tale,
go.
Sure.
That fucking
All of this
thing.
is to say that Square, whenever they release new repackaged versions of games, will sometimes throw in random tat to pad out the value to make it seem more special than it really is. And when they have the re-release or the big release of a big video game, they'll even like release a small little snippet vertical slice to give you an idea of what's going on in this world. And they were not alone in terms of doing that. Goddamn Remedy did American Wasteland to keep people who were begging for Alan Wake 2, not starving, even though that game is ass. And like I said, even Capcom did it with Case Zero for Dead Rising. Some of them are better than others. This is not great. It's not great. I will push back ever so slightly, Jeff, with something where until the Pixel remaster of 4, the PSP version of the of Final Fantasy IV was kind of like the version to get, because that Android iOS port that they later put into Steam was no bueno. It looked like ass.
Yeah.
I don't like the look of the sprites in PSP versions. It's a completely personal thing. I don't like the sprites. I don't like how painterly they look. I've never liked the look of those sprites.
They're a
Either the
bit busy.
portraits are a little too ridiculous, and some of the weird ways that they touched up those enemy sprites, I've never been a fan of. That said, it still doesn't look as bad as that goddamn Matrix iOS game.
So
No.
does Interlude? What is the gameplay of Interlude? Is it just Final Fantasy IV? Is it just a storybook?
So
Yeah,
you know
it's
the
a
things
storybook
that
thing.
Yeah, when we get into talking about the after years, there are some themes across all three of these games. If we're being really generous in calling them all games, and one of them is the idea of just like guest characters that sort of pop in and out, and the trope in Interlude is it's all of your favorite guest characters and characters from Final Fantasy IV are back in POG form in 3 hours worth of like interstitial fluff, basically padding, that are just table setting, basically.
Yeah.
Like for the after years, which a game we will talk about eventually, is I wouldn't say in medias res, but like you're kind of with starting action at this point. What Interlude is basically doing is saying, hey, did you ever wonder like what the castle looked like after Cecil and Rosa went back? Cecil. Not Cecil.
Yeah, that's the way to
Crying out loud.
pronounce it. Fuck it. No, the 3D version
Yeah.
said his
Yeah,
name
whatever.
correctly.
Anyway,
God damn you.
it's like, well, here it is. Here's the castle, and here's a little bit of the pageantry. Here's what things were like. Okay, this is a really bad comparison, but it's sort of like the promise of the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. Just like here it was, the Empire at its height, or not the Empire, the Republic. You know what I mean. Like look how idyllic things were, and then there's like a little suggestion that there's some darkness is going to creep into the world again. It takes 3 hours to do this. And it involves,
when you
ultimately
compare-
about half of this game is revisiting the Tower of Babel.
Sure, I
and
have
just
the list of
doing
the
a
levels.
dungeon.
Nonetheless, Jeff, at 3 hours, this is priming the pump in terms of what to expect with the, in quotations, episodes of the afters. In fact, Interlude ends up being slightly longer than your average episode or chapter in the after years. The locations are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess you could count Falcon, returning to the Falcon as its own thing, but I'm not. 6, 7. There's 8 chapters. The first of which you start at Baron Castle. Then you go to a location that is, I guess, in quotations, new. That is the Fey March. Then you go Demacian Castle, Mount Hobbs, Fobble Castle, which then transitions into your return to the Falcon. You return to the Sealed Cave. There's a weird, like, shared level in which you start in the Cave of Eblon that then transition into Tower of Babel. But they spell it Babil. I'm not a huge fan of that. And then that leads to the Tower of Babel. So not a lot of new locations. It's basically you retreading. And as Jeff kind of suggested, this, even more so than the after years, relies on each of these chapters giving you a different rotation of party members, guest characters. The first
when you say guest characters, do you mean just like every character from Final Fantasy IV who isn't Cecil?
The only character that stays with you is Cecil. Like the first chapter, correct, Jeff, is you, Yang, and 2 mooks. I.e., they just give you 2 random ass monks from Yang's fortress. They don't even really stick out. And while you are encouraged, and it is very necessary that you give them equipment, this more so than any other time in OG Final Fantasy IV, you had better remember to de-equip these characters before they leave, because you can just screw yourself.
Same thing. That'll be a theme.
Yeah,
that'll be a theme.
Yep.
And also, unlike so this is something that I fully support that they did in the Pixel remaster. the ammo management still relies on arrows having more than one copy of them and you expending it, whereas in the Pixel remaster they got rid of it. You just need one arrow and you get to equip it and use it however many times. There's no ammo management in the Pixel remaster. So that sucks. So if someone hey, I fucking hated that so much with Rosa.
It's not particularly fun.
No,
especially
definitely
unless you're
that.
doing aim with Rydia. But
It's
yeah,
like
it sucks.
it's like if you're a dungeon master that's like, so we're gonna worry about encumberment. Like no one likes it when you say that. Like not a soul.
So they finally fixed to the Pixel remaster, but you got to worry about it in the interlude, and you've got to definitely worry about it in the fucking after years.
Yeah.
But again, these distinct little chapters are kind of priming the pump in terms of what to expect in the after years, because, well, actually, they're slightly better here because unlike in the after years, you're not stuck in these small little boxes running around in circles power grinding because you're just stuck waiting until you can get past the level cap to like move from progress in the chapter that you're in. Things go pretty quickly here. The enemy encounters are a bit step up in terms of this. The characters have most of their abilities. They're not like basic level 1 characters. That's a merciful thing. But again, because you're worrying about all of these characters coming in and out, there is so much fiddly inventory and equipment management more so than original Final Fantasy IV. I don't know, Jeff, how you felt about that.
Go ahead, Jeff. How'd you feel about it?
Well, I kind of want to hear your opinion, to be honest. Because I've already yacked enough a little bit. So
I mean, my thought of this is just like, if you're going for a short interstitial thing between these two games, and you've already done all the character stuff in Final, so you need to give everyone basically fully kitted characters, then yeah, the equipment should be the only thing that matters because they should all be of a reasonable level, because why would they make you grind? And so, yeah, like the fact that your characters, they give you just rando people, and you have to remember, okay, it seems like they're leaving my party now, better de-equip them. Like, why bother, honestly? Why bother? Like, RPGs, especially like Final Fantasy IV style RPGs, old style, they're really about long-term progression, right? Like, they are about slowly building your characters up over lots of hours. That gameplay, if you're just going to give it to me in short bursts, doesn't work very well. I don't find it especially compelling, a menu-driven combat system, if you're going to do a little, like, 3-hour thing. So, was there a tension there, Jeff?
Not really. I mean, like, the tension is just kind of can I correctly, like, and there's like a little bit of fun in this, I guess, but like, can I correctly anticipate when they're about to shit can this particular set of, like, partner characters of the week, in exchange for anyone else? And like, you kind of recognize the cadence after a point. That's kind of the gameplay here. And the gameplay such that it's not just, hey, do you remember Edge? He's back. Like, here he is. And it's like, oh wow. Like, I think the particularly upsetting thing for me is I mean, and this kind of gets into later conversation too, but like, where this is going. Like everyone's kind of, we all know that Final Fantasy IV, the after years, like even in like the best possible light, is like a kind of a disappointment, not a particularly well loved thing. So like all of the setup and prelude that happens here, and there's not a ton, but there's some like seeds that are planted around like, why is Rydia acting so weird? What's going on here? That's like, that whatever the payoff is for this, the people that are like the most psychotic about Final Fantasy determined almost 20 years ago now that this is bad. So like, it's not going to be worth my time. So I'm not going to get invested in the characters in the main thing, and this like Diet Coke preview version of this. Like I was well aware that at the end of this, there's like you finish off the Tower of Babel, And then there's basically a like, so we got some news. We're preggers sequence in the castle, and it's like they're gonna name their kid Ceodore. I already know that. That's like the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard. And that's the first
The
thing that
names are
happens
so
in the
good.
after years. And it's
Yeah.
like that's what comes of this.
So is there any conflict? Like what other than
Yeah,
hey,
so
characters
The con-
you
yeah.
know,
the
So,
core
yes.
conflict is that Rosa appears to be unhealthy or sick.
Yeah.
Rydia is acting strangely as she develops her relationship with Edge, and multiple characters are pregnant and trying to do the adventure shit while pregnant.
Siring the combat kids.
Yeah, while in combat.
Okay, so Rosa does
Like literally Rosa is unhealthy, and Cecil's like, why are you acting so strangely? You're saying that your stomach is constantly upset. Whatever could that mean, Gino and Jeff?
I don't
does she
know.
have like does she start every
she's
battle
pregnant.
with does she start every battle with poison for like 2 turns?
No.
Does she
clearly
become
has
weirdly
the
mute
morning
and
after,
unable
like,
to
she's
cast
clearly
spells for
pregnant.
half the game?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, and then the worst part though, Jeff, and I can't believe you didn't bring this up, is they start to rehash encounters. There is a fucking part where you fight the demon wall in this interlude, and it's the lamest, dumbest shit ever. And in fact,
I mean,
the demon wall even has lines of dialogue in which it openly says, "Oh, I thought it would be a big, tough battle like last time." Like they're winking directly in the camera in the dumbest fucking way possible.
And like, I don't know. For me, that's not as bad as like the final boss rush being kind of a story fight, basically.
Mhm.
Like, it's a story fight, but it's also like, I think losable. I didn't lose it, but I have the sense that like, oh, I need to actually be foot on the gas here a little bit. Like, because this is a series, and I think I don't have encyclopedic memory, but I think it had at least 1 or 2 of these where it was like, you can't actually win this. Like, we're doing a story thing where you're going to get your teeth kicked in, and then like you're going to go Super Saiyan or whatever at the end and actually win. And like, for all the world, it kind of feels like that's what's happening at the end of this game. But
then why did we have those 2 boss battles against those useless ass frost beasts, and they treated them like boss battles, and you just one shot them like if you use a fire spell on him?
Yep.
And then the Flamehound. There's the same like fight against a Flamehound. Like I remember this being just a random encounter in the previous game. Do you think I'm fucking stupid?
Yeah.
And to reference the boss rush that Jeff is talking about, the summons that Rydia had, Shiva, Ramu, Ifrit, Titan, they've decided to, for whatever reason, decouple themselves to Rydia, and you need to fight them again to add them back to Rydia's summoning template.
Wow. How long is this thing?
3 hours, probably.
3 to 4 hours generously. Yeah. There's not a lot of side quests either. Like, the whole point of this, especially the final battle, is to set up the big evil god dude in the after years. He is pretty much basically this prophet lady girl that is prophet lady girl that's like her herald, like a silver surfer, so to speak. Is like, yeah, these people over here on this planet, they're pretty powerful. It's like, well, I'm a fucking god. I could just snap my fingers and disappear them. So unless they start popping out babies that are like more powerful than even they, I'm going to kill them. Why? We don't know. Smash cut to black. Play the after years, basically.
So wait, does the evil god say the only thing that could really screw me over is if they had kids that were good at fighting?
Like they reference the fact that these heroes are not equipped. Like our heroes from Final Fantasy IV aren't quite cut for beating him up.
The characters you know and love aren't good enough.
So we need a new batch of characters to
we need
take
Trunks.
Up.
We need Goten.
And that's basically how it ends, Jeff. I'm not.
Yep, that is the note.
This is how it ends.
Yep, that is the final note that is played before you get to the. That's the prelude to this fucking thing.
So let's rank the interlude like this. we're not even going to read top 3, bottom 3. Gino,
No.
can you remind me where is the last mission?
Okay,
list?
so top 3 for the ranking is
God
Final
damn it.
Fantasy 6. Well, top 10, let's just Final Fantasy 6, then 9, then 10, then 7, then 8, then 7 Remake, then 4, hey, then 5, then 12, then Theater, then Final Bar Line. And the bottom 3 games are Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 6 Special Tracks, Final Fantasy Unlimited, the TV show, and Final Fantasy All the Bravest, the mobile game that's a piece of shit. You wanted to know which one?
I wanted to know
Last
where
mission.
Last mission is?
10
That is
to.
number 41. Last mission, right after
So Jeff, do
Final
you
Fantasy
think that
3.
Final
UQ no
Fantasy 4
Kaze?
Interlude is better or worse than a bad mystery dungeon game? I don't know.
So above Last Mission is Final Fantasy 3 UQ no Kaze Densetsu. Above that is Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, and above that is
It's
World
not
of
better
Final
than
Fantasy.
Mystic Quest. So I'll say
No.
this: I find the last mission to be utterly unplayable because it is just a
Bad
poorly
mystery
designed
dungeon.
mystery dungeon game. We were able to finish this, so I think it goes above last mission. And
Yeah.
Densetsu, no, I don't think.
This-
I think it just immediately goes above last mission, not an inch more.
Yeah, like this goes down pretty easy, and that Legend of the Wind or whatever has such a weird camp factor to it for me that I think that's a good spot. It's better than Final
Okay.
Fantasy 13. We're giving Gino a bonus point there. So
Yeah, okay. Then let's put it right above Last Mission. Correct, right above Last Mission. It is now the new 41st worst Final Fantasy thing we've played.
book it.
Okay, the
Hooray.
new 41. Congratulations, Final Fantasy 4 Interlude. Now the main show here, Final Fantasy 4: The After Years. It is set, as the name implies, I think it's about 10 years after the events of Final Fantasy 4. Is that what
17.
17. Okay, 17 years after the events of Final Fantasy 4. Cecil has become the king of Baron. He's married to Rosa. He has a kid named Ceodore. And this is his story. But wait, not quite. Because we've got a couple of things going on here. One, this is kind of a series of micro stories. It's a bit of a choose your own adventure. And depending on which version of this game you play, how that unfurls itself is a little bit different. So let's go around the table. How did each of us play this game? Jeff, how did you play Final Fantasy IV: The After Years?
I am playing the WiiWare version of this game. I intended to do this on original hardware, and did for a moment, and then realized what a hassle that is. So I'm playing it on a quote unquote Wii that runs on x86 hardware on Batocera.
Excellent. ZP, how are you playing this game?
I am playing the PlayStation Portable version as part of Final Fantasy IV Complete Collection.
Okay. I am playing the Steam version, which is basically using the Final Fantasy IV remake on DS engine. So for me, this basically is a reskin of Final Fantasy IV on the DS with new characters in there. It feels like a ROM hack.
Well,
Final
Boy,
Fantasy
so
wanna
IV.
talk
this
about
is
ROM hack.
yeah, this is the interesting background story. So the After Years, looking at the multiple interviews, came up because of the success of the DS port or the 3D remake of Final Fantasy IV on the DS. And so the idea, while they were developing it, came about that what if we made a companion piece for mobile phones, and it played and was structured very similarly to that Final Fantasy VII mobile game that we did. And it would take 1 or 2 years. The hope was, let's make it to where this thing is multiple episodes like our last mobile game project. And we're only going to put 1 to 2 years of development into it. And players of the DS game would be encouraged to check it out on your phone while in between, stuff. The version that you played, Gino, they took the engine for the 3D DS version of Final Fantasy IV and then just refined that engine to then have all of the after years in its previous versions plugged into it. And this leads to part of the reason why, Square has been pretty trigger happy in delisting certain versions of their games. For example, the original iOS and Android versions of their game are no longer available. But for whatever reason, and I think this is the right call for them, the 3D remakes of 4 and I think 3, they've always treated those as being their own unique things that they refuse to delist. And the 3D remake of the After Years, alongside the pixel remastered version of Final Fantasy, they were rebranded and later reformatted for the Apple Arcade subscription service. And they are still available to download if you're a part of that subscription service, completely free. So, for reasons that I kind of can't help but scratch my head, your version of the game is what Square to this day views as the, in quotations, definitive version of the After Years.
Okay. So for me, I had to start with Ceodore's story. And after I finished Ceodore's story, I got the ability to pick between Rydia, Palom, Porum, Yang.
Wow. Huh.
And I think I had maybe one more option. I picked Rydia's story.
So let's go down the list. I mean, you have some choices. What was kind of like your first 5 chapters that you played?
So I played Ceodore, and then I went immediately to the right on the menu, which was Rydia, and that's where I am now.
Okay. So for me, it was Ceodore, Rydia, Yang, and Palom. Jeff,
Okay,
what kind of was the structure of your stories with your version of the game?
Okay. So here we go. I have pulled up. This is going to be lost on the pod, but I'm going to actually just screenshot and send to chat what I'm looking at, because I think this is a fascinating screen. Because if you go to the Wikipedia article for the After
you have
Years,
Biggs and Wedge.
Yeah. So this was originally released on the FOMA 903i cell phone.
Sick.
Wow.
And then later ported to the AU Win Brew compatible phones, and then SoftBank 3G compatible phones in Japan.
This is interesting because your chapter, you get Kane's chapter as like an introductory scenario. For me, Kang is near the bottom. Like it's a late game.
I can't play Kane until late. It's locked.
Well, so here's how this went on the Wii, which is how this came out in the United States originally. Was a WiiWare game, which for those of you who don't know, the Wii was a thing that sold a gajillion copies, and there were original games developed for thing that were downloadable, and I think there was a hard 40 megabyte cap on the size of games on that service, which is insane when you think about it. And so I don't know if it was to get around that or what, but I think the first chunk of this was free, or it was paid content, and everything else was paid content that was separate DLC. So if you're playing this by other means, let's say,
so the prologue,
you need to download
Ceodore and Kane would be free, and then everything else would have been monies.
Yeah. So today, if you want to do this and you want to play the WiiWare release of this, you can't buy it anymore. I have bought this though. You need to download Final Fantasy IV, the After Years, a WAD file, and then you need to download the separate DLC WAD file, which has all the rest of the content bundled into it, and then make sure that you basically install that DLC file into Dolphin, and then run Final Fantasy IV, the After Years, and it'll just hoover in all of the extra DLC. But yes, so my version of this game, and the version that Americans originally got, is the prologue, Ceodore story, and then Kane's little interlude. And everything else was a la carte.
A la carte DLC. So a story so good and so valuable that they sold it to you in chunks that you did not need to buy in any order. Correct?
Yeah. Yes. Subsequent add-ons is how this is described. So yeah, I think they were I'm looking for pricing. I bet this is on another wiki. I want to say these were like $5 a pop.
That's too much.
Jesus.
But I want to know. I want to make sure. So don't make that gospel. But I'm gonna frantically dig around.
That's
We won't quote
pre-inflation
you on that.
$5. You
Yeah,
could buy
that's-
2
this-
Twix with that.
That's Obama's $5.
That's Obama's
yeah.
$5. That's a good point. Man.
I didn't hate the structure of like the story. I didn't hate the initial premise of, because I only got about, so how many chapters did you say you finished, Gino? You're like halfway into chapter
1.5.
2.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about like how this all works out. I'm gonna just say this. I think this is a point that's gonna define at least the second episode of this. Yo, this thing is fucking long. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's 47 hours estimated on how long to beat.
Oh,
And let me just tell you, this game, when I said it feels like a ROM hack, it truly does. Like they reuse in Ceodore's story a bunch of the locations from Final Fantasy IV and a bunch of the enemies from Final Fantasy IV. Then the very first party you get is Ceodore plus Biggs and Wedge, who are 2 side characters from Final Fantasy IV, but they like barely have speaking parts in the original game. They are your sidekicks. They get knocked out. Then you get joined by the hooded man. Ooh, maybe it's Kane, who's to say. Then you get joined by Black Mage and White Mage.
Yeah.
Unnamed.
There are a lot of, like, placeholder characters in this game, which just suck.
Yeah, it's just like they couldn't bother to give a backstory to the characters who join you and then leave. So they took from Final Fantasy IV. You know what people loved? Guest characters. That's what I've learned from this. And so we're going to give you a lot of guest characters. Isn't that what you want? And it's like, no, we didn't want guest characters. We liked the story you were telling. It just so happened that they played out like guest characters because you killed everyone.
So this leads to like the first like attempt that I made as to like why is this the way that it is? Whose fault is this? And like I said, like Square apparently had a pretty good relationship with Matrix Corporation, which had been like a pretty important mobile phone developer for almost all of the 2010s and even the early aughts going into like even the late 2020s. And I think they are still in charge of the Professor Layton franchise. I could be wrong there, but they do ports. Like that's their big crease, is that they've made games for mobile phones. They have a good relationship with Square. They have a good relation with Chunsoft, even though they started off making Alundra of all things. And then I was like, well, clearly this is just a bunch of modern Square people that didn't get the appeal and like what made Final Fantasy IV special, right? Like that has to have been what it is. Oh no. The person in charge of this game is Takashi Tokita, who was the lead designer of Final Fantasy IV and was the director of Live a Live, Chrono Trigger, and motherfucking Parasite Eve. So, I don't know what happened. At some point, I guess he felt like he had to like fill in this story. He had carte blanche because he was pretty much going into this. He's still a senior manager and producer of one of their business divisions, and he's still basically like one of the remaining old guard that's still in the company. He had carte blanche with the After Years. Like it was like something he wanted to make, and he felt he had the experience to make it. And this was his blank check that he cashed.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
pretty bleak.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, it's-
admittedly, like Final Fantasy IV had other people that wasn't him. Like clearly, like it had Sakaguchi, it had Masafumi Miyamoto as the producer. This game also still had the Amano art, so like it had at least one of the people who knew what the juice was of Final Fantasy IV, and they didn't actually put in the juice. And that's the really weird thing.
From a gameplay perspective, it's just Final Fantasy IV with a team-up attack option added.
Yeah,
There's
we gotta
bands.
dig into that too.
Because I remember
Because,
the team-up attacks with Palom and Porum in 4, and remember how they were kind of pointless because they took fucking forever to use, and they were just pointless?
What if every character could do that?
What if every character was able to do that? Like, why? So, Jeff, go ahead and explain how this mechanic works.
Okay, the way this is tutorialized in the WiiWare version is during the basically the first combat you have with the Biggs Wedge Ceodore constellation. And the way they describe it, I spit taked and actually wound up replaying the whole thing because I was like, no, I misunderstood something. No, I didn't. They're like, hey, so sometimes you'll have people in your party, and if you go through when you're playing these games, it's menu driven combat. You have your classic fight, item, magic, flee, whatever, like 4 command options. Unlike a good series of RPGs called Dragon Quest, they also have the ability to click left, right, and up and open submenus that are bad and suck. That's a joke. And you can do that in this game and pull up a combo ability, which I refuse to remember the name of because I think this whole thing sucks.
Band.
There you go, band. Thank you. They're like, cool. So if you right click and click band while you have a party together, you could then select another party member and have them do one of the commands they do. And if you happen to telephone in the correct command, they'll do something cool together. Isn't that cool? You just have to wait for their meters to fill, and it spends their MP when you do it. But that could be a really fun thing. You should give it a shot. And you're like, okay, I mean, so that's a new mechanic. So how do I know what's what? And he's like, yeah, you get to find out. You just get to find out. You just get to click around and see what works. And you're like, okay. And then you're like, wait a minute. You can have like 5 members in a party in this game. So you're telling me that I get to randomly like dig through the phone book during combat and put together these band attacks. So this leads to one of 2 things. In my mind, there's what I think most people wind up doing, which is go to GameFAQs.com and find the list of band attacks immediately, because I do not have the fucking precious time to fucking dig around and find.
Just have your attack not work.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just pissed into the ground.
Because that's what ends up happening more often than not when you're trying to like research these naturally, is you end up picking the wrong combination and you fuck yourself.
And like it's work, there's a fun there, I guess, but like the work's already been done. Like, why would you fucking bother stabbing in the dark over and over again to find? And like there are quite a few of them, to their credit, but it's not like every other thing you try works. Like when you have that first party of Big Regs and Ceodore, to the best of my knowledge, there's only really one. I didn't find a second one, but it's because the flight landed. I was like, I'm done with this. I was playing the PSP version at the time.
On my version, it's just a menu option.
They're just in there.
They're just
in there. Son of a bitch!
What the fuck?
I mean, so that's just telling on themselves.
Exactly. Man. That's the thing. Is like, yeah, you're like, what the fuck? But for me, it's like, this is completely boring. I just have a menu that I pick which attack to do. And look, if I want to do the Biggs Wedge combo attack where they hit everything really hard, I pick it from the menu. If it's not the time for that, I don't.
Yeah, like honestly, it's so much of a hassle in the version I was, because like, there's like an economy to all this. There's like an action economy. So there's a point where it's like, okay, if I'm spending these turns and this MP to do more damage with this band thing, then it makes sense to always do this. Yep. And if it doesn't, it makes sense to never do this. Correct. And at the point where you're experimenting to even get in the door on that, it's kind of never worth it. Whereas your version, it becomes like boring the other way, which is this is either always the move or never the move.
Correct. Right? And the thing is, the bands, it requires both characters to basically sync up their ATB meters. So both characters have to attack at the same time. You're waiting for both of them to have cooldowns at the same time.
Which is the
It
same
makes
problem with Palamon Porum's shit when we first played it in Final Fantasy IV. It's like, oh wow, I have to wait for two characters basically in stasis to do this fucking weird mating ritual or mating dance, and then I get to see a flashy animation when probably the MP and HP economy is just hit it in the fucking face with just a standard attack.
Usually,
Unless it's
yes.
a gimmick boss that then requires a specific combo for you to do.
Yeah.
Which those sucked.
So, like, Ceodore, his story, Ceodore is Rosa and Cecil's son. Biggs is trying to teach him to be a real man. He's in the Red Wings, like his dad. And wouldn't
Also,
you know
I don't
it,
know. Maybe if I were Sid, maybe I'd think, hey, yeah, maybe I shouldn't revive this military organization that committed actual war crimes. Maybe I just an idea, you know, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should create my own, like, military term for these Marines, essentially.
No. We can reform it.
Yeah.
No, Cecil's going to reform the Red Barons. I know they did a lot of genocides. He's going to reform ICE. It's going to be okay.
Uniforms were really cool, though. I mean, really cool. Have you seen them? Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
so
our money.
He joins the Red Barons. They crash, basically. And then, wouldn't you know it, someone goes and attacks Baron and possesses Cecil. And it's just Final Fantasy IV Redux. Hey, the King of Baron is doing stuff with monsters again because it's a ROM hack. So you're just doing it again, except instead of Cecil being the paladin who's trying to save the world, it appears to be Kain who's the paladin who's helping Ceodore.
Yeah, and herein lies the core narrative problem is this ends up spending so much time giving you X, B, Y, and Z characters, and you spend quite a bit of time leveling them up, grinding them out, which is a different issue that we'll talk. But so very little is done with these characters. And what is done is basically multiple characters basically get reset so as that they can do the same motions that they did the last time that we saw them. Like, what is the justification of having Rydia relearn literal summons that we already gave her in our playthrough? So, like, what is the fucking point to that?
Yeah, at least I will say, since Kain is like slightly different, he at least, there's maybe some intrigue about what Kain will be able to do. Ceodore's a new character. There's at least some intrigue about what Ceodore might be able to do. He's got an awaken ability, which just makes he goes Super Saiyan. He trances like Terra in Final Fantasy VI. Oh, and there's also a moon cycle. The phases of the moon impact combat in this game.
A second moon pops up, and then everyone acts really weird about it. But if that was such a big deal, why wasn't this mentioned in the previous game?
Yeah,
it's like a very BioShock 2 thing.
There's waxing,
like,
waning.
wait, if this person was so important, why didn't we hear them at all?
Yeah, it's got the full moon, empty moon, and then each of the moon phases makes it so that magic or physical attack is stronger, basically. That's it. That's all it does. And it seems like there'll probably be some bullshit where you need the moon phase to be the right phase. But yeah, this feels like something that was made very cheaply. I'm walking around the same dungeons from when we played Final Fantasy IV a year or two ago. I am doing the same combat against the same enemies. I have very similar characters that I had in those games, except now I feel over-leveled, which is better than feeling under-leveled.
I don't know, man. So herein lies another problem with the gameplay, which is, so most of these locations aren't actually new. There are a couple that are new, which is weird, but you know, I'll take the new levels that feel out of place over just like Ceodore's whole chapter literally is just a slog because it's so much of the same shit that you've already seen.
Yeah.
You go through
But-
the Devil's Pathway. You go through the underground
which is at least
water.
interesting because you didn't spend that much time there. So here's my problem with some of these levels, and this is way worse when you get to Rydia's chapter. When time comes and you have characters that are underleveled or they need to grind, what you end up doing is you end up being in these very small boxes, right? These small little environments. And you're just running around in circles, trying to get these random encounters to spawn. And you're just walking around in circles, grinding. And it feels like the most shameless padding technique that I have seen in quite some time with this Final Fantasy series that we've been doing. Because that's all it is you are just engaged with the most bare bones grinding to get many of these Final Fantasy IV characters to, be par for the course. Now, admittedly, sometimes at the starts and you get these new characters where they are, as Gino said, they're over-leveled and they just smote the earth and no challenge exists. But then you get to Rydia's chapter where it's like the opposite problem, and you're just running around in circles, desperately trying to get people to level up. And it's
Which
not a great
sucks.
feeling. Yeah.
She's supposed to be more powerful than she was.
She was the
17
most
years
powerful
before.
character in 4. Like, I have been replaying. I'm structuring this to be where I play all of these. So I actually need to play fucking Final Fantasy After Years twice. So I've been replaying 4, and it shocked me when I was playing 4 how quick that game is. Especially when it comes to, if you sink in like 3 hours in 4, you'll get 3 different locations, a character swap until you get the final party. You'll get cutscenes, you'll get this, and that's not the structure for this game.
No.
You'll get an introductory cutscene at the start, maybe a little interstitial dialogue sequence whenever you encounter a new environment, and then the chapter ends with a cinematic that then smash cuts to black and encourages you to play the next chapter.
Yeah.
And
Very little
everything
story.
everything in between is just a very bare bones JRPG grind.
What if
And
I
there's
told
nothing
you
there?
in between these chapters on the WiiWare version, by the way, you also get what, even for the Wii, and I say this having hooked up Wii's to various displays over various cablings, just the lowest possible resolution image of the After Years logo off center. It looks like dog shit. Like it looks like a JPEG crunched 240p resolution image of this logo that is a pretty busy one. And that's like their Full Metal Alchemist. Like it's like, who the fuck did this? What was the intention here? Because it just comes off as
Cheap.
clumsy and accidental and cheap. Yeah.
This is a game that so
Amateurish.
far this game is 90% sawdust.
Yeah. But
It's-
Jeff, this Ceodore guy, we feel so cool about him being like this neat character that we want to learn so much more about.
He's
right?
Trunks. He's
I mean,
Trunks.
he's even a worse version than Trunks because he's not cool. He's decidedly like a dweeb.
Kind of lame.
I mean, he barely talks in his story. He doesn't do that much. He just like is there when Biggs and Wedge die, these characters that you barely care about from 4, if you even remember they exist. And then he just gets led around by other characters. So I don't even have a sense of who he is other than he wants to be like his dad.
You do get these like cutaways to what we assume is the villain of the game, which again is like some sort of monolithic god figure who wants to blow up the planet or take it over for reasons that are unclear. Okay. Cool, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. They really don't.
Find out. I'm sure it'll pay off great considering no one talks about this game.
I bet it's
Yeah, I've told this story before and I'll tell it again and I won't repeat it again because I think I have repeated this story. Back when Giant Bomb first launched, there was a very active war between the 4 versus 6 crowd. And that is to say that there were people who believed that 4 was better than 6, and there were people who believed 6 was better than 4. I think all three of us agree 6 is better than 4.
Yes.
But I think that part of the reason for that, and I know Brad Shoemaker likes 4 more than 6, and that's because he was a kid when 4 came out. Therefore,
Yeah.
it's his favorite version, which is a valid thing to say. Is
Yeah,
the
not
game that
gonna
you
be-
played as a kid is probably the game that resonates the most with you. However, the 4 people were getting very, very, very shitty on the Giant Bomb forums because, in their opinion, well, look at us. We're going to get a sequel. Final Fantasy VI isn't getting a sequel. And like, that was literally a thread that was on the fucking forums.
And the monkey's
this-
paw curls.
Yeah. And then the monkey's paw crawled up and the game came out and they shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Completely.
Scattered to the winds. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So we'll keep playing this.
Yep.
You know, we'll get through more of it. We'll reconvene and see if we've got any takeaways. If maybe the good content is later. Maybe that's it. Maybe we just haven't seen the good stuff yet.
And I think that there's something that we want to say. We're going to shit on this game, right? Like, we're going to shit on this game.
Yeah, it's a bad game so far.
I think.
But-
I mean, let's be fair. We'll praise what's worth praising.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Then we're gonna be shitty about what's shitty in here.
Here's
I would
something
just,
that I remember
know?
coming up in. I don't think any of us are of like the dramatic crowd that's like, oh my god, they ruined the legacy of 4. No, they didn't. It's a bad sequel. You can
No, I don't-
live and exist in a world where Final Fantasy IV's legacy still stands there, pretty much pristine, and like the game itself still like, look. We think 6 is better than 4. We'll say it. We even think that 9's better than 4. But 4 is a real fucking good game. You should play it. You should play 4. You should play Final Fantasy 4. It's got a great pace, all things considered in terms of its age. I'm still maybe of the opinion that 4 is like the last Final Fantasy game. Actually, no, it's 5. Where I would say that its contemporary Dragon Quest game is better than it. That's a hot take. I don't know how Jeff feels about that. You should still play 4. Like, it's a good game. Like, it's not tarnished as a result. Like, my favorite Final Fantasy game's 10, and I don't like 10 too. I just
And
live
that's
on
fine.
with that. Like, if when this animation for Final Fantasy 9 comes out, and if it's dog shit, like, it's not gonna hurt. Like, Gino's not gonna lose sleep over that.
No, I don't. Look, you can't ruin the memory of the thing that already exists. It already exists.
Yeah, like,
I
they don't need
I
to
don't
be
care.
like weirdly dramatic about it. Is my
No,
point. And
exactly.
I think
Like-
that some of the Final Fantasy 4 people get weirdly dramatic about the after years being like this insult to their child. Like, no, you just can
No, it's
you
just a bad
can
game.
enjoy 4. You can enjoy 4. And
It's
hey,
just-
maybe there's something that's cool in this that we say nice about. In fact, how about this?
I like what
Gents, when we come back, let's all have at least one positive thing to say about what we played.
I already have something positive to say.
Okay,
It
go ahead,
added
let's do
some ninjas that are very meaningful in the Final Fantasy trading card game for the
Oh,
ninja
you know
deck.
what? This is another thing. Some of the special commands aren't completely useless, which is indeed a problem with Final Fantasy IV. Because, you know, all I did with the throw command was, like, throw that fucking spoon. Which, by the way, Jeff, Gino,
Yeah.
the Pixel remaster changes Yang's spoon into a knife. Those fucking cowards. They fucking changed the spoon into a knife in the translation.
Don't have to get it past NOA, you know? Just
Fuck that.
Ted
All right.
Woolsey.
You throw a
Shaken.
spoon.
Well, that is our first take of Final Fantasy IV, but not the one you want. Thank you, ZP.
Do you think that there's like a porn parody of Final Fantasy called Final Fuckstasy 69?
Thank
Do
you,
you think
Jeff.
that exists?
Thank you, Jeff.
I have the pricing in front of me. The first chunk of this was $8 on the WiiWare platform. The
God.
final episode was $8.
Oh no.
And every chapter in between that was $3 a pop. And
Wow.
There's at least one source online saying you should just buy the first and last chapters and skip all the stuff in the middle. Which seems like an insane thing to say.
Young Jeffrey, how much money is that total if you bought all of it in the
That would
original
work out
SKU?
to 3,200 points. This was, in the time where you had to buy points.
Oh, of course,
right?
yeah.
So,
You had to get the
and
Fourever
that
one.
was a direct conversion, so that's like $32 US plus tax.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
It was probably, I don't know this, but I'm going to guess that was probably the most expensive game on the WiiWare platform. Not a lot of DLC.
because they
and stuff
sold
on
it
there.
episodically, partly. I mean,
Yeah. Over like a 3-month period, this was getting released. Nonsense.
New games were not that much more
Scandalous.
expensive than that.
Yeah, like games on discs were coming out that were cheaper than that in some instances.
And better.
Yeah, notably better.
Well, that'll do it for this show. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Podcast, deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. deeplistens.libsyn.com. That's where we have our comment sections. deeplistens.bluesky.social. That's our social media account. patreon.com/deeplistens. That's where you can support the show. And then reminder, if you feel so inclined, you can go to ilcm.org/donate to donate to the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. Well, thank you, ZP.
also, can we say fuck ice?
Yeah, yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Fuck
Jeff.
ice.
They seem like bad people, and fuck 'em.
And thank you, dear listeners. Till next time, peace.